I think I'm just gonna do this Wednesday instead of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then maybe on Mondays I can do both technical and run through the song. Yeah, today I wanted to try showing my actual solo music. I've been pretty hidden about it. I've been working on it for like 3 years, and I had all this work done, and then my hard drive died, so then I lost most of it. So I've been trying to figure out what to do, and then I was gonna work on it again, and then my Ableton died, but my friend Kevin kind of saved me with that. So, trying it again, and hopefully this solo album will actually be finished. But this song that I'm going through today is one of my singles, and it's like one of my favorites. So I just kind of want to go through it and show why I did what I did. And also, this song I worked with Anthony Leadham, which is a really good friend and an amazing producer. He did some of the percussion and stuff on this song as well. So I'm just going to play it through, maybe talk a little bit over it so no one steals it. Okay. Oops.
I was thinking about putting more stuff here. Because there's not much vocal wise. And I guess hey. So that's all. That's where it is now. Um, it has a lot more work to do, but I'm pretty stoked on it right now. So let's go through it. So when I made this song, it was like 3 years ago, or I started it 3 years ago. At first, it was called for 10 a.m. because I was working at that time. But what it started with was just a sample I found, and I have no idea like where it came from. But when I heard it, I immediately thought it was one of the coolest samples I've heard. I don't remember if I had changed anything to it, but I do see it's at 160 BPM, and I must have warped it because now it's at 90. So it probably sounds a little bit different, even though I did Compex Pro to it. It shouldn't sound much different, but you know. So this is what the original sample sounded like. So all I did is take out the low end so I can make space for the bass. I compressed it pretty heavily, it seems. I might change that a little bit where I just do more of the attacks. The problem I'm having with this song is that it sounds cool, but it does sound a little bit too like flat, and I think that's due to mixing choices. I think at the time I didn't really truly get what I was doing much. So, let's see. I cut out 1K right here for the main vocals, or else I would have kept it in because it sounds a little hollow. And I guess I spreaded it a little bit to both sides to have a bit of chorus so the middle vocal can just come through. Little room and probably sidechain. Yeah, sidechain to the kick so it ducks out and has that pumping feeling. And I brought up the brights a little bit, so it's still present there. So after I had that sample, I pretty much just sang over the sample to just see what I can come with and do like extra harmonies. And that was like the idea of the song, and then everything else can come later. Instead of usually I start on the percussion end of it and then build on top of it with like chords and stuff. There was this very iconic sample and then using the voice aspect first and working backwards. This is what the vocals sound like by itself. So pretty much for this part, all I did is sing all of this and then just pitched it down a little bit and then consolidated it. Because this is all my voice, and my voice is definitely not this steep. So I'm pretty sure that I just consolidated and edited all the vocals and then had them sidechain heavily so it's acting like the sample above and less like, oh, my vocals are separated for that sample. So I would kind of think of it in a, you have a sample and then you're adding to it to make it an original sample on top of it instead of just going off of just the sample. Things like this, I feel like, are a little separated in terms of being actual background vocals instead of like part of the sample and thinking about it in that way.
You love me too. I can't replay.
So the whole idea with this song and why I mixed it the way I did is because it's supposed to be like you're coming out of a bar at 4 a.m. and you're like super wavy and you have like not in a good way, like you feel really awful and you have no idea where you are, and it's like you feel so low that it's kind of funny. I don't know if anyone else gets that, where sometimes things just happen that are really bad, and it's so bad that you can't do anything else but laugh at it. This is kind of what I was trying to emulate in this song, is that everything's kind of like drunken and hazy. Not necessarily you're drunk, but like you obviously have to surrender to your surroundings instead of trying to control it all the time, which is what I have trouble with, because no matter how hard I can try to control my surroundings, it will never work out. And you just kind of be like, chill with it. So this is that. That's why I didn't quantize or vocal line all the background vocals together, or else it would get rid of that feeling. I also like, with this song, think about creating tiny polyrhythms by having things slightly out of time. Slightly out of time, but to the point that they're looped. So as time goes on, there's a percussive pattern that comes out of everything being slightly off. Because if it's slightly out of time, but it happens enough over whatever BPM you're at, I feel like it creates a rhythm no matter what. So in that sense, you can create this like seemingly unorganized emotion, but it comes up over and over again, and it's actually a percussive tool. I don't know if anyone else does that, but like micro patterns, I think, and polyrhythms coming up in different ways, I think is really interesting, especially since DAWs are all so grid. I feel like there's so much unexplored music to be made with out of grid, out of like tempo music. A lot of electronic music is so on grid. I feel like it's kind of trapping. Anyways, off of this rant, let's go through the actual percussion. Right now, I just have a kick that I just kind of wanted to be like a really in your chest kick. I'll probably layer it, but this one, I just really liked how in your body it sounds. Nothing really special in your heart. And this is with this snare. Yeah, I thought it was kind of too repetitive. Because I still want this song to be kind of dancey. Um, yeah, this song has a lot of percussion that is not actually percussion, except for this one. It's cool. This is a very Anthony kind of thing, where it's like you take a lot of percussive sounds that aren't percussion and use them in like very interesting ways. Like over here. You don't really notice it at first, but I think that's the cool thing is like if you're even this song sounds really chill and like very like you don't have to think that hard to enjoy it. I still think there's elements within it that every time you listen to it, you hear something new. And I think that's like a very Vespertine from Bjork like album kind of thing where it's like that album is so beautiful and you feel so like cared for and safe listening to it. But every time you hear that song, I mean, that album, you hear new things. I've been listening to the album for like years since it came out, and I still hear new things every time. And I think that's kind of what I'm going for in this song is like having it very relatable, like having this really awful thing that you're going through that makes you really upset or seemingly what's make you upset is actually very like comforting because you know it's just like something you have to go through and I think that's very comforting but yeah these little elements I think that Anthony contributed a lot to really make up that idea. That was a very Anthony thing. All these like little sounds putting together and making it a full solid idea. Originally, he did a ton of percussive ideas when I went to Austin to work with him on this song. But I liked so much of it, I kind of compiled them all together along with my original percussion to make it like a full world instead of separated. So this flute sound, I thought was the coolest thing that I loved that Anthony did. But the thing is, it's not even a flute, it's a cowbell. So since it was, I think in the other session, it was maps so that every time I played the song, it sounded different. So I had to find it exactly where it was at, the way that I liked it to sound, and then I froze it, and it came out to be this very clear, like flute sounding sound, but it's a cowbell. Let's hear it. That's actually what the sound is. And then there's just modulation pitch down here, so that's why it's going up and down. That's why every time I played the song, it sounded different. So catching it at the right time, and then printing it, something I used to be really scared of, but now, like, printing your stuff and flattening it, sometimes it's better than just tweaking it all the time and having everything trigger off each other and then your CPU just blowing up. Yeah, so there's also this percussion 3. It's a lot of percussion in this song. Yeah. So I think having all these very thematic percussion sections, like this alone, listening to it, it could be its completely own theme. And this percussion over here can be its own theme, and this percussion over here. It's like having songs within songs, percussion-wise, that are so, like, when you hear a song and you only hear the drums in the beginning and you already know what song it is, it's kind of like that idea is grouping all this together. And this is also something that Anthony and I worked on, and he's master drum programmer. Yeah, so there's a lot of automation, very minor automation that I think makes it really interesting. Thinking about it, your drums as like an actual instrument, not just an afterthought. It's one of the most important, I think. So this is all the percussion and drums together. Yeah. So I think it also helps since this song is mostly just one sample and like it's just kind of a loop type of song, having different percussion sections that are so strong thematically helps with the transition. So it's not just like, oh, it's a loop over and over again. Also, this instrument is an instrument Anthony made as well that I froze. That it's like you take all these vocal samples and put them in their own instrument so that when you play it like a piano or something, it's all just vocals. And then you can do really cool stuff like putting an arpeggiator on it and like messing with it. And this is what it came out. I think it's a very awesome way to make something sound much more organic because everyone loves the human voice as like it's just very relatable. So I think doing more organic synths is cool. Okay, so this is where the real synth parts come in. It's playing a lot of that same idea of like this song is like very clouded memory, very hazy. So I try to keep in that theme. And then having the synths be printed and then resampled and messed with. So just like instead of just doing MIDI and just keeping it like that, you have your synth, you tweak your synth, and then you put whatever effects, and then you flatten it and print it, and then use that audio clip to mess with it even more. And I think that's a way to get very interesting sounds. And that's just like from, I think, this synth that I put in. And just pitched up to put over here. So all these synth resamples, which are just different synths that we messed with. Also, this is the vocal sampler that I was talking about earlier. This is you can see all those vocal samples just in one synth. What's cool with it, you can actually control it like any other synth where the attack delay, sustain release. And this down here is like, you could choose exactly what sample you want and then have it just be that. But also you can randomize it so it plays a ton of different samples. The only thing is like making a synth like this, which he did, is very tedious. I've made my own in the past because you have to take every sample and tune it exactly. That's where the R's are. These are all the root notes that he had to tune to make it all work in the same key. So this is a printed synth of something I made. And it was easy. It was just way easier to manipulate by flattening it down. Also, it eases up on your CPU space. So this is just that small section of synths. Yeah. Yeah, so the last things are just the other smaller things, like I have this lead synth that I made, very chill wavy, just got Fat Filter Twin if you have it, the clarinet, I really like, messed with it a little bit, put some overdrive, just treated it like any other instrument. I didn't even do much besides change it a little bit, put some overdrive and some delay, and then erosion to make it more of that lo-fi, whatever feel, and then having it doubled with another instrument. This is what that's. Nothing that complicated, just sidechained heavily, like everything else. Here's another synth, also Fab Filter. I try to keep everything Fab Filter Twin 2, just to see if I can make the sound more coherent if I used one synth. So that was the idea about it. This synth right here is also one of the first things that I made after that synth. So I think it was really built off using the exact same elements over and over again, and really focusing on the emotion of the song and the intention rather than what I usually do is just layer all on top of each other. And this song took like extreme experimentation in knowing when to cut things out and when to leave them in. I think is really important that I'm still really trying to learn. So out of all of these, everything is kind of like their own strong, coherent idea put together, but like by themselves, though they're strong, they're still like kind of simple in themselves, and then bringing them together, it's just like this whole song is pretty much a theme and variations. Everything is a theme, and each section is just a variation of that theme. Like the bass. The bass is very, you hear it, it's there, and you can recognize it, and it's literally just repeating itself over and over again. And the way I'm trying to differentiate, like, have it not be too stale, is by the theme and variations idea of the things that's underneath it. I'll probably do a lot more automation work, but this is what the bass sounds like. Yeah. I try to make it, again, very K-Tronic-y, which is why it has that, like, funk disco kind of sound with this house bass underneath. Per usual, I just put a sub underneath to just fill it out, because I cut out so much of the low end on this bass. Let's hear it. this is that's what it sounded like before, and I wanted it to make it a little messed up. So that's why with the flanger and all this like chorus, flanger, making it high. I did that because flanger and like more chorus, it affects like higher end a bit more than you can hear it in the sub. So if I wanted this bass to be a bass but still have those elements, then that's why I layer it, is so that I'm affecting the top end that has presence, that you can hear those effects, because I wouldn't hear it the same way if I put those same effects on the surveys. So that's why separating the frequency and layering is very important. Let's put these back on.
That wasn't my real voice. This is. Yeah. Then I just added more percussion, because why not? With this, I love doing this where I find a ton of samples I like instead of putting them in a drum rack, because I feel like I can hear the difference between the samples put in a drum pack and being triggered by MIDI versus actually just putting the audio down. Because I know Ableton has some like set parameters. It has like, if you put something in simpler, it makes it -12 dB. So I don't like dealing with that. Sometimes if I just want a textural element, I'll just get a ton of samples, and what if they're related, putting them on the same line, and then using that as if it's a sample rather than it's a hi-hat and I'm gonna mix it like it's just a hi-hat. No, this is like, there's a ton of texture. I'm gonna compress them together, mess the effects together, and it's like, it's its own sample now. I hope that makes sense. So what I pretty much did to make it more coherent, because there are samples from different places. They're not gonna sound coherent together unless you do something about it. So I put all of these through an amp. I put an auto filter, and I think I try to make it lo-fi-y. So chorus, to like just mess with it a little bit, and it's pretty tucked underneath. So this is merely for texture reasons. This is what it all sounds like together, what we have been through. Yeah. So the last thing I'm going to go through is the guitar. I literally just played this guitar with the guitar in my room and didn't do much to it but putting flanger and chorus, echo. But I recorded this guitar straight through my Scarlett. I didn't have any like fancy preamps or compressors or anything, so it sounded a little pokey. Usually I'll just record when I'm playing guitar because I'm not good at guitar, and I'll just keep playing the same thing over and over and over and over again until I get one I like, and then heavily edit it and sometimes put variation of different takes together so it sounds like it's a little bit different, but also it's on time and it sounds okay to me. I noticed this spring like guitar thing you hear in a lot of like chillwave, R&B, indie music, and I wanted to recreate that that whole chill vibe, whatever sound. And I found the best way to do it is literally just have an echo at like 132, so that it's playing it very close together, so it sounds like almost doubled but a little bit delayed, and then just put shimmer on it. And I love shimmer. I would heavily recommend the Valhalla and the Fab Filter suites. They're just so easy to use and sounds great to me. Yeah, so just literally those two elements together. I have this flanger here, but I honestly is not doing much in comparison to the echo and the shimmer. And then having it pump. I don't know why I'm putting it through more delay through the send. I don't actually like the Ableton sends. I feel like you can't control it that well in comparison to like a send on Pro Tools. And I don't like when you stem out in Ableton, it automatically does the send. So if you're doing all these sends on different instruments, it all gets printed together while in like when in the mixing phase, when you're in Pro Tools, you have like you're making sends for individual like groups of instruments, so you can affect them in that way, so that when you're having to mix the actual like song, you don't have other instruments printed on it. I think it's just much more easier to let this send situation happen in the mixing phase rather than in the producing phase. But that's just my opinion. It just kind of makes more sense. Yeah, so I just have these two guitars. This is just a harmony on top of this one. Whoever I show this song to, they say that this part they like a lot because it's pretty clarifying. I used to think it's really boring because it's not much going on, but everyone I've showed to said this part with the guitar, just leave it and don't add more, which I thought is really interesting. I'm still trying to figure out why people like it just by itself, but this is what it sounds like. Like, it's so simple to me, and it makes me go nuts, but maybe I should chill. Yeah, so honestly, the only thing else I did is sing and pitched it down because I think it sounds cooler when it's not sounding like my voice. This is what the lead sounds like. And the melody that I did, I heavily took from listening to Animal Collective and Toro. They both did this extended melody on top of the phrasing that you think would, like, the phrase would start over again, but you extend it. So it's acting like what I said before, where you have these small rhythmic things going on top of each other and like ending the phrases of so many different elements in your song at different times and looping them like that to create small polyrhythms. And that's why I did the melody where I did, instead of ending it right what you think it would, extending it long. You can hear that in Animal Collective a lot, and I think it's really interesting. This is what it sounds like.
If you wanna see me a fool, get out. I can count on me, so go falling down.
Also for this, I knew I wanted that lower voice sound, so I transposed it -4, but to get it in the right key, I had to sing it on a wrong key so that I knew that if I transposed it -4, it would be in the right key, and that was kind of hard to do, but pretty fun if you think about it, like singing it, being very intentional of the sound of the vocals you want and singing it incorrectly to make it correct when you affect it. Because this is what it sounds like without the transposition.
If you wanna see me a fool, get out. I can count on me, so go falling down.
Yeah, that's pretty much the last thing I do. So the whole takeaway, I guess, from this whole song is understanding that you, even though you're making a song in a very grid-like digital, where we are with technology now, where we're subscribing to this time signature grid-like situation with electronic music, that there is a way to mess with that a little bit by putting different phrasing sizes layered on top of each other to create the effect of polyrhythms and unkilteredness, I guess, while still being on tempo. And I think that's a really cool effect. So yeah, here's the song again after I explained it, and hopefully it gives someone more ideas. That's it. See you Wednesday, maybe. I'm gonna make something new from scratch or through something I started already. But yeah, see ya.